Welcome to the Cell Soul Source podcast. I'm Jackie, a chiropractor, yogi, and Akashic reader, and I'm here to activate healing in light workers of all kinds so they can serve from an empowered place and fulfill their purpose with ease, awe, and wonder. Hello and welcome everybody. I am so excited today. I have the wonderful Maddie Lalk with me. Maddie is a health and wellness expert who uses the principles of great health combined with deep self-exploration to guide her clients towards living at their highest potential. So that right there has me so excited. It's so resonant with the things that I do. So welcome, Maddie. How are you?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me, and what a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. We've had the pleasure of meeting recently. And when two souls just resonate, I am desperate to hear your story. Um, a lot of the people that I work with are kind of almost stuck in the old paradigm of wellness, the hustle, the grind, the self-sacrifice. And we're all about learning a new way. We know how to do that way, but can we do it in a way that's easeful, that feels relaxed, that lights us up, in the way that we hoped it would be when we started our careers as health
Mm.
professionals? So tell me, if you want to paint a picture of like kind of before.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. So I grew up as a very sensitive child, as many of us are, right? And getting that story of your emotions are too much, go to your room until you can stop crying, and I don't want to hear it, and all those kinds of things. And so from an early age, I obviously had to learn how to stuff my feelings down. And that always felt really yucky. And it came to a point where, and I didn't realize it. Looking back, I'm able to kind of see how this all unfolded. But realizing that, and then that and the combination of feeling so misunderstood because I had these big feelings going on, right? And nobody wanted to hear about it. And I didn't know how to cope with them. And I didn't know what they all meant. And so, in an effort to just kind of fit in and do what I was quote unquote supposed to do, I stuffed those down, and I, fit in, and eventually I found a lot of comfort in alcohol. And I kind of moved through the world in social situations, especially where I was consuming a lot of alcohol, because with the alcohol, then I didn't have any inhibitions. I didn't have to sit there and think so hard about what to say or not to say, or how to feel or what not to feel. And that got out of control, to be honest. So up until the point that I had the moment of, okay, something's got to change, it was pretty out of control, and it impacted my relationships. It definitely manifested in a lot of health issues for me. Um, and finally, it was right around my wedding. I'm skipping some decades, I think, here, but it was around my wedding. And I was just not feeling well physically. I hadn't been for a while, but this was a different level. This was almost like I could feel that my organs were saying, hey, you need to give us some attention. And I got curious at that point, and I was like, okay, I need to really evaluate my relationship with alcohol. And that happened right around my wedding. And then a couple of months after my wedding, I became pregnant. And it was kind of unexpected, but we were very excited, very happy. And unfortunately, a couple of weeks later, we found out it was ectopic. And so, it wasn't a viable pregnancy. Unfortunately, we didn't know until it was really late, and I had to actually have emergency surgery in order to save my life and to, address that. So it was at that point where it was like, okay, these feelings of you need to be paying more attention to yourself, evaluating your relationship with alcohol and these things was really kind of a glaring light at that point. And so I did. And I started kind of going deep and saying, why am I doing these things? And at the same time, as I was trying to evaluate that, I was also starting to take better care of myself. So I was getting back into working out. I was active growing up. And so, getting back into movement and these things was a little bit easier. But the nutrition side of it, I had dabbled a little bit in my 20s learning about nutrition, but I didn't know a whole lot. So I started learning more about that. And I just kind of became obsessed in a way. I think it was a healthy obsession, but I was diving into podcasts and learning all I could and soaking up information and starting to treat my body better and starting to feel better. And all at the same time, again, still having um, that really deep conversation with myself regularly about my relationship with alcohol and coming to terms with understanding that I was just, suppressing feelings and hiding parts of myself that I didn't know how to live with, basically. And then through that, I luckily became pregnant less than a year later, and my daughter just turned 5. So it has been quite the journey. But those moments, so like I said, the one before my wedding and then the ectopic pregnancy were probably the two biggest moments to start this journey. Now, there have been other moments along this journey, right? Because I then was learning about nutrition and working out. And so then I was applying those. And then through all of that work and the exploration of my relationship with alcohol, it was just this really natural progression of needing to do the inner work. And then realizing that the two combined are where I felt the best. That most of the symptoms that I was struggling with, which were mostly gut related, hormone related, started to subside as well as I was combining the two works. Because at first it was very physically focused, like I said, the movement and the nutrition, and then it kind of holistically rounded itself out because it had to. There wasn't another choice because I really dedicated to taking care of myself. And it really unfolded and became very clear that you cannot ignore these very real parts of yourself if you truly want to heal physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It all has to be seen and looked at.
Yeah. So it's so deeply resonant. As somebody who spent the majority of my career as a body worker, not integrating the energetic and the emotional and the spiritual into my work, you can get good results. People get good
Mhm.
results, but often it's short term. And since I've been doing the root cause work, that's when it changes the game completely, doesn't it? So,
Mm.
some of the things that you tried, what were some of the things that worked and didn't work? And because we all go through kind of phases where it's almost like you're in a maze, isn't it? And you go down this road and you go, that's a bit of a dead end, back up.
Yes, absolutely. Such a good question. I would say with nutrition, it was probably running into a lot of food allergies or sensitivities. And so sorting that out and understanding that, there's a reason that you feel this way every time you eat eggs. There's a reason that you feel this way every time you eat dairy. And I feel really lucky because I've since kind of unwound those and now I can incorporate those things.
Yeah.
But at first it was that. And then it was also learning the movement that was right for my body because I am a competitive gal. I played sports growing up. I did CrossFit in my 20s and I push it. I push it and I know when I'm doing it, my body is like, and I'm like, no, but you can do this. And so I was pushing the limits in strength training, particularly. And I learned that I needed to dial back because the recovery was harder. Um, I was the energy, I was so lethargic, I wasn't sleeping
Yeah.
well, all of these things. So I would say that those were the two obvious ones in the beginning. And then it definitely became this game of what supplements and why am I taking them? I mean, the supplement graveyard that I have is out of control. I was looking through it the other day because for whatever reason I just haven't thrown them out. And I was like, why on earth did I have any of these? I can't even tell you why I bought them, except that likely somebody on one of, the science podcasts I listened to said that this would help something, or some influencer said that this was the supplement you needed to heal your gut. And so I believed it and tried it all.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd say those were the biggest things that I ran into, and also um, I didn't want to believe were wrong for a while, right? Like no, it can't be the eggs. I love eggs. No, it can't be the dairy. I love dairy. No, I can't be going too hard. It feels good in the moment. And yes, they said that this supplement works, so it must work for me too.
Oh, Maddie, there is so much gold in what you are saying because so many people do the same things. Um, and this is why the work that I do, helping people dial into the feedback that they're getting,
Mm,
makes it specific to you. Because otherwise we are just kind of guessing. And this guy says that this works, so I'm going to try that. And then, you know, people like you and we jump in both feet and we really give it a go and we really invest in it. And then you think, oh, actually, that didn't work. And then you're always looking for the next thing. And everything can be good and bad. And so when you're looking at eggs going, but eggs are healthy, it can't be the eggs,
mhm,
that's when you got to dial into the feedback that you're getting. Okay, when I eat eggs, my stomach feels really gripey. So right now, my body is telling me eggs are not for me, or whatever the symptom was that you used to get. Um, and how wonderful that you've gone on that journey and have tried again, because some people eliminate forever and never go back.
mm.
But you can try again and kind of reintroduce some things. Um, so that's the one part. And the other part is just coming face to face with yourself and your patterns, that
Mm,
competitive, the
mm.
pushing, the forcing, all of that stuff. So how did that kind of unfold for you?
Oh my gosh. So that started unfolding because of the physical symptoms I was receiving back, that feedback I was getting, which was, poor recovery, feeling kind of like I couldn't get anything done without a bunch of caffeine. Um, doing my best to keep up, feeling really overstimulated and what's the word? Overstimulated and just oh my gosh, I'm blanking on words right now, but yeah, really overstimulated, anxious. Um, and then it started kind of um, making a head when I started to slow down. Um, I still struggle to slow down, but it is so much better. It is so much better. And it's, I have to constantly remind myself, but now I notice it. Whereas before, and it's funny, I just was writing a post for social media about this exact topic, but intentionality and intuition, using those two together because they really go hand in hand. And I have found that touching back in with my intuition and then getting intentional about that. So before I go take a supplement, even if it is one of my quote unquote daily things I should just do, I check in. I check in with my body. Is this something that my body wants today in this moment? Yeah, because it's not always a yes. It's funny. So I use magnesium at night to sleep, and it's like I either take 3 or I take 5. And this has become so easy for me to feel. I'm a sacral authority in human design. And so I've learned that this feeling kind of feels like a whoop. It's like this like upward swoosh when it's a yes. And it's kind of just like this stagnant, almost just nothingness when it's a no. And so that's one of my favorite times of the day because it's very, very clear. It seems when I'm standing up, now I'm just saying, like catching myself as I'm talking about this, but when I'm standing up, it's a little bit harder. So it's little things like that where you start to kind of piece together how your body speaks to you and what that feels like, and really being intentional about, okay, my intention for the day is XYZ. And then you move into, okay, I'm going to have breakfast. And for so long, I was just having the same thing for breakfast because it's easy. I don't have to think about it, all of these things. But
Yeah.
then I was like, why is my stomach hurting? And then I started getting these intuitive hits that, oh, maybe you shouldn't have so much of XYZ. And then slowly I've rewound that and
Yeah.
instead slowed down. And I feel really privileged that I'm able to slow down so that I can say, hey, what should I make myself this morning? And then, I'm trying to teach my daughter a little bit of the same too. We'll start our day with setting our intentions
Oh,
and really listening to our bodies. And she'll say, my body really wants some candy. And I'll say, okay, does your body want that or does your brain want that? you know?
big
Um,
difference.
yes,
And it
exactly.
doesn't matter whether you're 5 or 50, it's the same conundrum.
100%. Exactly.
And again, what you were speaking to there is so important because you don't need or want the same thing from day to day. So it's even important to check in from day to day. Oh, okay, I had planned to go to the gym and do strength training. And when you get to the gym, does this feel good in my body today? Is this what I want to do? Am I going for a personal best or am I going to switch it up to maybe some cardio? Just as an example.
Yeah.
Um, but again, that can be quite tricky because is it the body or is it the brain going, I can't be asked to do strength training today?
Exactly. Oh, it's very tricky. Absolutely. I'm just
It's
thinking that exact same thing.
Yeah, it's very nuanced and it's very subtle, and that's why, um, dialing into the feedback that you're getting, the sensations that you're getting, knowing yourself really well, so that you can understand the difference between those two little nudges. Um,
Yes.
so tell me how, because people like you and I, again, are almost paving a new way. We don't really, what we're offering doesn't really fit in any one box anymore. And so we, again, using your word, have the privilege and the freedom to go, oh my God, how do I want to package this and offer it to people? So, how
Mhm.
have you managed to take your journey and put it into the offerings that you have?
Yes, such a good question.
Mm.
So I, over time, have come to realize that. So I started this very just kind of health, nutrition movement, that's kind of stuff, um, very foundations, principle, you know, the habits, this kind of thing, very almost rigid in a sense that it's very much like, here's what you need to do when you need to do it. Here's what your diet should look like, all of the things. And every single time it would come to a head with my clients, as I should have realized sooner, maybe because I happened with myself, right? But you just don't know. Um, where we would have some resistance and we would get stuck. And so then it was a matter of realizing, okay, where do we need to go deeper? Where do we need to uncover some of these patterns or limiting beliefs that you might have that are holding you back from saying yes to yourself and really living in kind of this victim consciousness? Well, I can't because I've got all of this and my family and my blah. And it's like those are very real. And I validate every single one of those. And we need to take back control where we can take control and responsibility.
Yeah.
And so I still very much use the foundations of great health because I do believe whether you are somebody who's been on a spiritual journey and you're trying to heal spiritually and energetically and emotionally, but you're not maybe taking care of yourself physically, you're going to run into issues and then vice versa, right? And so foundations of great health are very, very much a staple in my framework, as well as this self-exploration piece. And then so in order to kind of reconnect you with your body, it's kind of this slow introduction to the foundations of great health and the principles there. And then using maybe some self-muscle testing or just kind of introducing that to my clients. And then kind of moving from there and saying, because I think sometimes with self-muscle testing, we're maybe hoping, or we're set on an outcome. So it's not always super obvious, kind of like, to your point of, is this me saying is this my body truly saying it's not wanting the strength training intensity, or is this me just not wanting to do it today?
Yeah.
So finding that balance there. And then moving from there into just the intentionality, right? Like the why am I doing each of these things? What is my goal? And what is the intention? Because so many people will come, just tell me what to do, just tell me what to do. And it's like, I can start with some foundational pieces here, but you have to listen to your body, and you have to come home to yourself in order
Yeah.
for you to know what to do. Because I'm not you, I can't hear that feedback from your body.
Yeah. We both come from a kind of prescriptive background. So if you've got this kind of back pain, then you want to do this, this, and this exercise.
Mm,
Um, and like we were saying, like you get so far, but you kind of hit a plateau or a resistance or a block. And then that's the signal to go deeper. And
mm,
I genuinely believe that that is part of the new paradigm that we're going into is teaching people how to take their power back. Because I don't want to get on my soapbox, but a lot of the medical models have encouraged us to just give that power away, to just give the responsibility, the authority, the thinking, everything behind our health away. And
mm.
so we don't want to move into another paradigm where we're going, okay, this is different, but I'm still giving it to you. We want to move into one where we're teaching people how to use, I call it a spiritual technology. Your body's a spiritual technology. How can we teach you how to use yours? How does yours speak to you? Um,
Mm.
how does it thrive best? Because yours will be different from mine, will be different from the next person. And this is what I love about this work. There is still, I would say, a little bit of education that needs to happen because people are so used to being told, you know, go to the doctor and do as you're told kind of thing. And now we're going, you have to take that responsibility. And so I think there's a lot of education and a lot of grace that needs to happen for people to make that jump. Have you noticed anything around that?
Yes, I think that's such a good point, because I believe that the education piece needs to happen also so that people can start to have some of the language for some of these things, and some of the, oh, this feeling is it not recovering well? Is it a blood sugar imbalance? And if they're not aware that a blood sugar imbalance is a thing, then they may not consider that. They may not be able to tune into that. So I think giving them some of that background education on what could be going on, but then they can tune in and see what it is, rather than calling me and saying XYZ. And then I'd just be like, well, it could be all of these things. So
Yeah.
now they have those tools, that kind of underlying foundation. And then if they need more words, we can talk about that too. But I think whether it comes to the physical, principles of great health, right? The blood sugar balancing and the nutrient density and all of these things,
Yeah.
or if it's some of the shadow pieces that we need to work through. It's really helping them to understand that there's a language for it, and it's not necessarily a right or wrong, but I think
Yeah.
sometimes it can help people to have that kind of bank of things to tune into when they are learning to listen to their body.
Yeah. And I think your framework is just so spot on because there is no point, you know, doing the shadow work and all the spiritual stuff. And if you haven't got the foundations, if you're not sleeping well and eating well and relieving your stress and eating whole foods, then no amount of sitting on your mat and meditating is going to bypass that. So
Yeah.
those foundations have to be there first, but then the work that we do after that is about, okay, I've done all those and I still don't feel as super as I desire to feel. Now what? And sometimes it's just about helping people with blind spots. You and I both still have mentors,
Yeah.
are part of masterminds because you can't always see your own blind spots. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
one thing. And the other thing is, I don't believe we're supposed to be doing this on our own anymore. I think we are supposed to be doing it in community.
I could not agree with those those enough. It is it is a lot easier to guide someone else through kind of that their own shitstorm sometimes than it is your own. And that's when I, yes, lean into my different mentorship. Because I have a few mentors. And I could not agree more with the community aspect. We are so combining it all, right? Like we are taught from so early on to look outside from before we're born, right? Like our mothers are being told that the way to birth us, and then we come out and it's this and this. And then, yeah, you don't feel well, you go to the doctor and you don't ask questions and you don't think about what's going on. You just kind of get the prescription and you move on. And then all of this conditioning kind of piles on top of us and we become, oh, we need to figure this out on our own or, outsource it in a way that's not helping us to come back home to ourselves, right? We're outsourcing it in a way that's like telling us that, no, you're right. You don't know. So you should, outsource it. But
Mm.
truly, community is how we were, I believe, how we survive this life. We were meant to do things in community. We were
Yeah.
meant to have the support. We were meant to be able to lean in and have somebody help us to uncover those blind spots, as you put it, which I love. Um, and I think that helping and women especially, I think sometimes we don't feel safe in some of these containers, the old sisterhood wounds and all of this thing and these trust things. So um such a very good point about not we don't have to do this alone, and the more that we can let go of some of that and relax into the community, I think unfolds so much healing in and of itself as well.
Yeah, the community thing, I've definitely been in spaces, and I love to be in spaces where everyone is ahead of me. I love to
Mm.
be the smallest fish in the sea with the most to learn. Those are the kinds of spaces that I love to be in because I just feel like that's how we're going to, it's a great phrase, collapse time and quantum leap and all of these things because they've done it. Show me how you did it so that I can leap to there. And that's what I want the people who are coming after us to do. I want you to benefit from all those dead ends I took. I want you to benefit from, all the pulling out my hair because I was frustrated because it wasn't working. And I want you to learn from all of that and just go this way because this is the way that worked.
Yeah.
And that way we all get to where we want to go a little bit faster. And are you by any chance a manifesting generator?
I am a generator. It's funny you say that because I thought for a while I was a Manny Gen. I must have pulled a chart one time that told me that, but I'm just a generator. Yeah.
Okay, well, both the same. We both like to go fast and move.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so any kind of marketing that's got any kind of quantum leaping or collapsing time, I'm there.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me, what are the offerings you've got on at the moment? How can people reach you?
Yes, thank you. So right now I'm just doing one-to-one work. So that could be anything. I meet you where you are and we really kind of reverse engineer where you want to go. And then you can find me on Instagram. I do pretty much everything just through Instagram at the Maddie Lalk. That's MaddieLalk. Oh, I do have a podcast called Happy Medium Health on Spotify. And I also have some freebies that you can go through in my link in my bio. Just a few master classes, some around nutrition, some around kind of everything we've talked about here. And there is an episode on my podcast that introduces myself and my work as well in another capacity to this one. So there are all the places you can kind of get to know me. I love conversing with my community as well. So sending me a message just to say hi, I'm here is welcome, as well as to if you have any questions to learn any more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It has been wonderful to speak to you. I just knew there would be so many parallels.
Absolutely. I have loved getting to know you in this little capacity we have so far by meeting each other on social media and then to dive deeper with one another. It's been so wonderful, and I am excited to continue.
And thank you for the work that you do in the world.
You too. Thank you, Jackie.
I am rooting for you. We rise together. If you feel called, please rate and review. I would really appreciate that.